Hey guys, what's up? Corey here. Welcome along to another Photoshop tutorial where every week I teach you something new in a variety of different software. If you aren't subscribed already, be sure to click that subscribe button and then you'll be notified of future videos I release. So this video I'm going to be doing one of your tutorial requests that was submitted to me on Twitter, and that was how to create the Android logo in Photoshop. So we're going to be creating it from scratch in Photoshop using a combination of different shape tools. And definitely recommend watching this video because I bet you'll learn something new about the shape tools that you didn't already know about. There'll be a PSD up on my website where you can download and edit this if you want to, along with a whole lot of other logo templates. So here's the end result of what we're going to be creating, and first we're going to be doing the Android robot, and then if you want to add a bit more customization you can actually add the background outline, and then you can put in the Android text. I'll put a font link in the description if you want to download that as well. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is create a new document, and of course you can put in any size that you want to, but these are the settings that I used. I used a width of 1920 pixels, and I used a height of 1080 pixels and a resolution of 72. So now that we have our document set up, let's get on with creating the Android robot. Under the Shapes tool, select the rounded rectangle tool, and then you'll see that we have some options up here in the top bar. The first thing that we want to do is adjust the fill. So this will set the color to the shapes that we're going to create. At the moment you can see that it's black, however we want to change it to the green color that the Android robot is. So if you click here you'll get a drop down, and to choose from the custom color you can click this little multicolored box here. You'll get a pop up with the color picker, and then you can choose any of the colors that you want here. I'm going to change the color to that green color how the Android robot is, and I'm going to enter in the hex value A4C639 in this little box right here. The next setting that we're going to adjust is the radius, and basically the radius just determines the size of the rounded corner. With the size of my document I find that a radius around 40 pixels gives a good result. So now that we have configured how we want our shapes to be, we can actually start creating the first shape. And the first shape that we're going to be creating is the body of the Android robot. I'm going to click in the center of the document and drag a rectangle like this. If you want to move the shape without changing the size, you can actually temporarily hold the space bar and then drag it wherever you want to position it. So next I'm going to be creating the arms, but before we do that there's something that we want to do, and that is a thing called path operations. Under this little box here we have the option to create a new layer from our shape, combine the shapes, subtract from a shape, intersect with the shape, or also exclude the overlapping shapes. We're going to choose the combined shapes one so that we end up with one layer for our Android robot and not a combination of multiple layers. This is going to make it nice and tidy for us, and it's also going to allow us to do some cool things later on. And then you just want to draw a little arm next to the body, and I think about there looks pretty good. So don't forget that when you're creating the arm you can still press spacebar to move it around. So now that we have one arm done, we can easily reuse this exact shape for the other arm and legs. However, you'll notice that because I combine the arm with the body shape, if I choose the move tool we can't actually move the shapes individually. And here's where the second tool that we're going to be using comes in. It's called the path selection tool. This tool is just above the shape tools. Once you've enabled it, click on the arm and then you'll see an outline around the arm. You see that we can actually move the shape individually from the other one, and if I were to press delete, it would just delete the selected shape. If you also press Ctrl T, you can actually transform the shape size and location. But what we want to do is create a copy. So if I press escape to get out of the transform tool, and if I hold down Alt on my keyboard, click and hold on the arm, and then drag it over to the other side of the body, you can also press shift and it'll allow you to drag it on a straight line. But when I release the click, it's going to create a copy of that arm and it's going to add it to the one shape. We can of course use this arm for the legs as well, so I'm going to hold down Alt again, click and drag on the new arm, and then move it under the body, making sure that the top corner is cut off completely by the body. To create the other leg, I'm going to do the same like we did with both the arms. Don't forget, if you ever need to adjust the arms or legs, you can select and move them. So the next step is to create the head, but before we can do that we need to get rid of the rounded corners on the body. So to do that we can actually use a shape to subtract that part from the body. Let's go back to the rounded rectangle tools, and then we're going to go back to that path operations menu and then choose the subtract shape one. Now if I drag a shape over the part of the body, it's going to actually remove that part of the shape. I'm going to make it so it cuts off from about the arms up. However, make sure that you don't subtract any of the arms. So now that we've done that, we need to create the head. Let's change from the rounded rectangle tool to the ellipse tool. Back up in the path selections, let's change it to combine because we want to add the head and not subtract it. So we want the head to be about the same width as the body, so I'm going to click on the right side of the body, and then I'm going to hold down shift to create a perfect circle. Then I'm going to drag the circle until it's about the same width as the rest of the body. I'm also going to hold down space just to position this so that the circle aligns with the top of the body, and then let go of the click to finalize the shape. So now that we've done the head, we're going to put a little gap in between the head and the body. I'm going to go and choose the rectangle tool. I'm going to set it to subtract from shapes, and then I'm going to make a subtraction like this. Next are the eyes, so I'm going to choose the ellipse tool again. I'll leave it on subtract from shape, and I'm going to click to drag a circle, and then hold down shift to make it a perfect circle. If you need to move it, hold down spacebar, and then just release the click to finalize the shape. So now we're going to duplicate it so we don't get two different sized eyes when we create the second one. I'm going to go back to the path selection tool, and I'm going to select the eye, then hold down Alt again, click and drag it across to the other side, holding down shift to keep it on the same height. Now we're almost done with the Android robot, we just need to create the little antennas. So I'm going to go back to the rounded rectangle tool, choose the combine shapes option, and then I'm going to draw one antenna, making sure that the bottom of it is covered by the head. And to rotate it, I'll go back into the path selection tool, click on it, and then I'm going to press Ctrl T to transform it, and then move and rotate it. I'm going to press enter to save the transformation, and then you want to click and hold down Alt to create a second antenna, drag it to the other side, and then press Ctrl T to transform. I'm going to right click the box, and then I'm going to choose flip horizontally so it matches the other side. I'm just going to reposition it a little bit, and then I'm going to press enter to save the transformation. Now we've actually finished the Android robot. If you want to do any last changes, make sure that you have the path selection tool selected, and then you can click to adjust the shapes. I'll press escape to deselect the antenna, and then I'm going to click on a blank spot in the layers palette to deselect the shape. If you wanted to add a background, select the background layer. Under the edit menu, choose fill, and then next to use, select color. Choose a color, I'm going to use a blue color, and then click OK. To make the logo stand out a bit more, you can add an outline. To do this, I'm going to double click next to the text on the shape, and that's going to bring up the layer styles. Enable and select stroke, and then adjust the size to how you like it. Once you've done that, just change the color to white, and then press OK. If you want to put in some text, I'll put the Android logo font up on my website as well. A link will be in the video description. To install the font, just right click it, choose install, and then you want to restart Photoshop for it to be on the font list. So now we're just going to choose the type tool and then click wherever you want the text. Change the font to the installed font called Roboto, and then change the color to white, and then type what you want. If you need to move the Android robot, click on the layer and then press Ctrl T to transform, and then resize it how you want it. Okay, that pretty much sums it up for this tutorial, guys. If you followed along, be sure to click that like button. If you learned from this tutorial, add it to your favorites. Any questions can be commented below. And to check out my other tutorials, head over to my website. There you can also request one. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to see my next videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.